So we're going to do a quick tutorial on how to set up WordPress. And when I say WordPress, we mean the full self-hosted version. And we're going to use WordPress here on Cloudways cloud hosting platform. So we're going to set up the whole WordPress installation. It's going to take us about 10 minutes to install WordPress and get the system up and running. And then I'll spend about 10 minutes or so just going through the rudimentary bare basics of the platform. And we'll round up with pointing a domain name at the server, so then you'd have a fully functional website. So in total, this will take about 25 minutes for you to have your first website with a few posts and pages fully operational. So I'm over on Cloudways. There's a link below in the description below the video, also with a promotional code. So if you choose to stay with Cloudways on a longer term basis, then that promotional code will get you some money off. Now what we have at the moment is the ability to install WordPress, test it, play around for 2 or 3 days before Cloudways will request that you put your card details in. At that point you decide whether you want to host with Cloudways or host somewhere else. Anyway, we're going to run through the process. Over on cloudways.com we've got a get started for free option, which we'll click, and that's going to take us through to a sign up page. So on the sign up page, just complete the form with your first name, last name, email address and password. Now these drop downs are really for Cloudways own research, so you could choose whatever's relevant. I usually choose just the lowest. Got a promo code. Generally speaking, if there is a promo code at the current time, I put it in the description below the video, so have a quick look down there. At the time of writing, there is a promo code, and it's called SCALEINSUMMER, and that will give 30% off the first 2 months of web hosting should you sign up once the free trial's over. Then you click the start free button to proceed. Okay, so what will happen then is Cloudways will create your account. Okay, so at this point you can choose what type of platform you want to host your server on. So it's a virtual server, and you can choose the power of the server. Now if this is your first blog, or you're not going to get like massive traffic, especially initially, just go down to the 1 GB option. Install WordPress 5.22, or you might see a later version depending on when you view this video, and then choose a server location. Now I generally recommend that you choose a server location nearest to your target market for your blog or website. So what you'll see down at the bottom is to launch your free trial server, you need to verify your account first. So the email you signed up with, you're going to need to go to that email box and just click the validation button. So in your email you should see something like this, and then you just click activate account. Okay, so once you've activated your account, the launch now button should be active. And note, you will not be charged during the trial period. So we click launch now, and that's going to create our server. If you have an existing WordPress website, you can follow the video instructions to migrate over to Cloudways. So when you first go over to the server, it's just giving you a notice that it's taking several minutes to create the server for you. This is your own virtual private server. So once the server setup has been completed, you should see a screen something like this. Like I mentioned earlier, you can migrate an existing WordPress website using a really simple Cloudways plugin, and there's video instructions on how to do that. But we've actually just created a fresh install. Okay, so this is the server details. You don't need to know a huge amount about this. What you need to know is about the applications. So we're going to click on the applications menu options, and we've already installed WordPress, so let's click onto our application. And this gives you the access details to the WordPress website. So currently we haven't pointed a domain name like a proper web address at the hosting, so it's given us a temporary address, and if we click that, it opens our WordPress installation the admin panel, and if we click the application URL, that will open up the public website. So right out of the box, what we're seeing is like a holding page which has been installed, and the first thing I would do is log into the admin panel. So if we go back to our Cloudways interface, the admin panel is where we log in. Okay, so it's generated us a username and password, so just click to copy the username and then click to copy the password, and in you go. This will take you into the WordPress administration area. Now this is where you control the actual content of your website. So the first thing I would do when I log in is actually set my own password. Okay, so you click on users, edit the username, and if you scroll down through your user profile, click on generate password. Okay, and then clear that box and then just type in whatever password it is you want to use. Click update profile, and that is your new admin login. Now the other thing I would suggest is, because we've got a kind of long temporary web address, just stick that on a bookmark so you can get back to it quickly enough, and also stick the front end of your website on a bookmark. Okay, now I will be mapping a domain name to this web hosting space, but if you're just wanting to test the hosting platform out, then you might not want to do that. You might just want to use this temporary address. So in the meantime, I'll carry on using the temporary Cloudways test address that they've given us. I will be mapping a domain name and pointing it at this web space, so it'll be like a proper website address, and I'll point that at the web space towards the end of the tutorial so you can see how that's done. But what I'll do right now is just run quickly through the WordPress dashboard. What we're going to do is we're going to install a theme, we're going to install some plugins, and I'll explain what those are as we go along. Bear in mind, this is not a full-blown WordPress tutorial, it's just a quick starter guide to get you up and running. Okay, so the first thing we're going to look at is the website settings. Okay, so that's my site title, and I've actually got two tabs open. I've got the front end, the public website, and the admin panel in a separate tab. So if I change the title in general settings, this will get reflected on the public site as soon as I do save changes. So if I go and refresh the public site, okay, so that hasn't actually refreshed, and I'm guessing the reason it hasn't refreshed is because the page is being cached, so it reads more quickly. So in that case, I have to purge the cache. Okay, so Cloudways has this optimization plugin called Breeze. So if I purge the cache and then I refresh the page, my updates are now in place. Okay, but this is looking pretty dull, yeah? So what we're going to do is we're going to go and install a theme. So themes are used to define the layout of your WordPress website, and there's literally thousands of them. Okay, I'm going to show you a few places where you can find themes, and then we're going to show you how to install one in this next section. So to install a theme, go to Appearance and then click Themes. So this is showing me what themes are currently installed on this WordPress installation, and the active theme is 2019, which is the latest default out-of-the-box WordPress theme, and a couple of older WordPress themes. So I'm not going to use either of these. So I'm just going to delete the 2017 and the 2016 theme. Okay, so to add a new theme, you click on the Add New button, and then you can do a search on the WordPress repository. Now there are other websites such as Themeforest, Elegant Themes, and various other repositories who sell professional themes. Links below the video. But we're just going to use a basic cheapo theme just to demonstrate how this works. So I can search for themes. I can just put in like a search term, and that will search the WordPress repository. It's given me a bunch of themes I can install, or I can look for particular themes. I'm actually going to look for one called GeneratePress. It's one I'm familiar with. It's kind of nice and easy to use. So I'm going to install GeneratePress. That shows me what the theme is going to look like, and I'll just click install. Okay, and then I can click activate to make that the current active theme. Now if I go back to my public website and click refresh, it's automatically changed the layout. Okay, so there's different things you can do to modify the theme, the layouts, the colours, etc. You can experiment with these. You can experiment with these in the customize section. I'm not going to do that right now because that's not the purpose of what we're doing here. So I'm going to click the cross and go back to the main area. I'm just going to create a couple of posts, just random posts. So this post was the one we've been seeing on the demo website, okay? So I'm actually just going to get rid of this. I'm going to go back and I'm going to trash that post. If I want to get it back, I can go to trash, or I can go to trash and empty the whole lot and delete them permanently. So I'm just going to create a random post. My first post. Welcome to the website. I'm just going to paste in a bunch of random placeholder text just to demonstrate. And if I wanted to put in things like an image, if you go plus, that'll give you the type of things you can insert into your post. So let's just upload an image. Go to our media library. I can upload an image from my computer here. So let's just go to find a random image. And then I'm going to publish that post. Now if I go back to the main website, I'll just clear that cache again. And then I'll go back to the website. Okay, so there's my new post. Okay, so this is actually a blog post. I'm actually going to create a page. Okay, so a post is really for things like news, updates, journal entries, that sort of thing. A page would be for things like an About Us page, a Contact Us page. Sometimes people use it for the home page as well. So I'm going to create 3 new pages. I'm going to call that welcome. Welcome to the website. Just paste in a bit of dummy text again. Let's stick in a random video. So to do that, I would do add block, embeds, YouTube, stick in the YouTube link, and then we've got a video on the web page. Okay, now I'm going to add 2 other pages. A contact page. I'm just going to stick in that generic text again. I'm going to delete the sample page which was there before. I'm going to delete the privacy policy for now. We'll probably end up adding another one later. I'm just going to go on to the menus, okay? So this is what we're going to do next, is just change this menu at the top. And to do that, you go to Appearance Menus. So this is our default menu. We're actually going to call this Main Menu. I'm just going to clear this for now, just to show you how to drag and drop for the menu. Okay, so these are my two pages, and I'm going to add those to the menu. So I can drag them around to choose the order. I can also move posts if I'd like. I'm just going to leave it for those two for now. Create menu, and make it the primary menu. So that's the one that will be displayed by default on the website. Let's purge that cache again, and let's refresh. Okay, so we've got the welcome. That's the welcome page we created. Contact me. That's the contact page we created. Okay, now I want this welcome to be my home page, but currently it's showing a list of blog posts. I want to change it so my home page is the welcome page. So I do this in Settings, Settings, Reading. So my home page is currently displaying my latest posts. I want to display the static page instead, and I'm going to choose my welcome page. Okay, so that's now my home page. That's become my home page now. Okay, so I also want to link to the blog posts. So I'm going to create a menu option for the blog. I'm just going to change the name of the blog category. It's currently called Uncategorized. I'm going to call that News. And the slug, I'll explain the slug in a moment. Now I want to go back to menus and add the news category to the menu. So I'm saving the menu, and then if I go back to the website, I should now have 3 menu options, and the news should be a blog roll. So if I add other blog posts, not pages, then they will appear in the list on this page. And you can click through to the individual posts. Right, so you might be wondering what's happening over here on the right hand side. This is called the sidebar, and I'll just explain how sidebars work. So we have something called widgets on the appearance menu, and I'm going to move some widgets into the right hand sidebar. Okay, so I'm just going to move some custom HTML. And then when I go back to the website, it's moved that widget into the sidebar. So you can move any number of widgets into the sidebar. I could move in recent posts. And that should show my blog posts. So that's a very, very, very quick introduction into some of the key features of WordPress. This is not a full-blown tutorial, it's just to show you how to set the thing up. I'm just going to show you one more thing called plugins before we sign off. So Breeze is automatically installed as a plugin by Cloudways, and it's telling me there's a new version available, so I just click update now. That goes and grabs the latest version of the plugin. I'm not going to be using Hello Dolly. I'm not going to be using Akismet anti-spam. Okay, but I will install a plugin just so you can see how to do it. Now, whereas themes change the layout and design of your website, plugins extend the functionality. Okay, so there are thousands of plugins for WordPress. You can add e-commerce shops, you can extend WordPress with things like contact forms, page builders, forums, pretty much everything you can think of. Just to demonstrate how to install a plugin, I'm just going to install one called Stackable. Now, Stackable is a plugin to actually extend what you can do with the WordPress editor. So I'm going to install that and then just show you how I've extended the WordPress editor. Okay, so if I go back to Pages and go to edit one of the pages, so what Stackable does is extend the Gutenberg editor. So if I click plus, you'll see there's a whole new range of different types of blocks I can insert into my post. So I'm just going to do a testimonial. I could add images for the people. Let's quit. And I could actually put in pictures of the actual people. I won't do that right now. I'll just show you how the plugin has allowed me to extend my editing capabilities. Okay, so if I go back to the home page now, I've got these testimonials, and if I'd put pictures in, the pictures would show too. So just an example of how to install a plugin and how it can extend WordPress. Like I say, there are thousands of plugins you can use to extend WordPress's core functionality. So that's the brief overview of WordPress. Hope that helped a little bit. It's not a complete tutorial or course by any means. It's purely a demonstration of how to use some of the basic functions. Obviously you can install different themes, different plugins, and completely customize your blog in your own image. We're going to wrap up now by showing how to map a domain name to the website, and this is fairly straightforward. You can actually register a domain name in any number of places, GoDaddy, Namecheap. I personally use Google Domains, and you can find that at domains.google.com. So what you do basically, if you didn't have a domain name already, just do a search for the type of domain name you'd like. So we'll just do mytestwebsite.com and see if that's available. Okay, so Google's telling me that that's been registered already, but it's given me some alternatives. I could actually search for a different domain name, or I could use the same address but with a different extension. So you can go through this process until you find the domain name that you actually want and one that's available, and then you just add it to your cart and then go through the checkout process. Once you've got the domain name, and this process will also apply if you've got a domain name with any other registrar like GoDaddy or Namecheap, you need to change the A records on the DNS records, okay? And I'm just going to demonstrate how you do this. I'm not going to register this domain because I don't want it. I'm just going to use another domain as an example, which I've already got in my Google Domains account. So once you've registered a domain or logged into Google Domains, you'll get this menu. Click on My Domains. It will bring up a list of the domain names that you've registered with Google Domains, and then click on the Manage option. And then on the left hand side you will see an option called DNS. So if you click on DNS, now of course this process will vary slightly for domains registered elsewhere, but you can always ask your domain name registrar how you edit the DNS records if you get stuck. So if you scroll down to the bottom, Custom Resource Records, This allows me to direct this domain to an IP address. Now I get that IP address from Cloudways, so your public IP. So if you copy the public IP and paste it, and then click add, and you can see that's created a new DNS record pointing to the Cloudways server. I do the same for the www record. So now I've got two DNS records pointing at the Cloudways server. Now the domain name I'm using is pintuts.com for this example. So now I'm going to go back to my Cloudways application interface and clicking on domain management. So at this point I put in my domain name. And Cloudways goes away and links the domain name to the hosting account. Okay, so my primary domain is now pintuts.com. Now the second thing I'm going to do is add a secure certificate. So at this point you type in your email address and then the domain name. And then I would suggest clicking the apply wildcard checkbox. And it's going to ask me to add an extra DNS record to my domain. So it's a CNAME record. I'm going to copy and paste the Acme challenge, go back to my DNS records on Google, paste that in there, and it's a CNAME. And then copy and paste the original WordPress address. If you remember, that was our test address. So what you should see now is 3 DNS records. Like I said earlier, this doesn't have to be on Google Domains. You can do this on GoDaddy, Namecheap, or any other domain registrar. If I go back to Cloudways, I will now click on Verify DNS. Now sometimes this takes a little bit of time, so you may get an error to begin with, okay? Can take a minute or so for your domain name DNS changes to have rippled across the internet, but eventually it could take you several attempts to verify DNS. You should get that green flag. So once you get that, you can install the certificate. This can take a little bit of time, so don't panic, let the process run to its course. Okay, so then you should get a message at the top saying the certificate has been installed successfully. If you go back to access details, you will see your newly mapped domain name mapped to your account. So if I click on pintuts.com, it's now showing on the new site. Now just to wrap this up, I would go back into the admin panel and then I'd go into settings, click general, and just double check that the website has now been mapped successfully. In most cases I would put the www before the site and then click save. And then we're all wrapped up. So now we've successfully mapped our domain to the web hosting space. We have a fully functional website. Obviously, as it stands, this is very basic right now, but you can obviously install different themes, different plugins, add additional content, and then you've got the makings of your brand new website. So the final stage now would be to upgrade your account if you were happy and wanted to proceed with this platform. Otherwise, your whole website will be wiped when the trial expires. So if you click upgrade my account, you would then get transferred to put in your card details. You wouldn't get charged anything immediately. You get charged by Cloudways at the end of the month. And also, if it's your first month, then you'll be billed pro rata. So if you're signing up to a $10 account and you've only used half of the month, you will be billed $5 at the end of the month. Okay, so that's the end of the tutorial on how to set up WordPress on Cloudways. We've also shown how to configure a site, install a theme, install a plugin, and throw up some basic posts. So that's it, folks. If that was useful for you, please hit like and also hit subscribe for future tips and tutorials. Thanks for following.